Welcome to the board of the Bantu. You shall be seeing my kitchen and part of my passageway for a couple of weeks more because I'm still setting up my little studio. And once my little studio is done, I hope to have pretty backgrounds and I hope to have a semblance of what I used to have before. It's been a long journey, and it might even be a longer journey. And thank you for hanging in there with me. Welcome to the board of the Bantu. And today we are going to be reading Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, I started this video without going to the bathroom. Okay, so so this is how I'm gonna time it, right? When I need to go to the bathroom, that's when I am going to stop it for YouTube, and then when I come back, I will continue. Okay, I might even clean the screen a little bit so that you might see me better. But welcome to the board of the Bantu, and I decided that I will get to learn each Bantu country one at a time. I did Rwanda, but I don't think I did all of Rwanda. So for this week, we shall be stuck on Rwanda for a while. I really don't know East Africa that well. I don't know it very well. Rwanda facts. So I'm gonna use Google. Google is my best friend. Google always tells me what I want to hear and how I want to hear it. I have diagnosed myself with illnesses via Google, and I have been right because as a black woman, my health is not taken seriously. So I will look up the symptoms of what I'm going through, and then I'll go to a doctor. Then I'll say, I have got this problem. Now give me medication for it, because nobody gives a damn whether I live or die because I'm a black woman. So anyway, Google is my best friend. We work together, Google and I. Google is always. So anyway, I'm looking up Rwanda because I feel like we have to continue talking about Rwanda, because that right there is a huge Bantu population that actually went to war with the Creoles. And as I said, I do believe their president is Creole. I do believe the Creoles won this war. Again, they won this war. This is a country of inequality. It's a country of anger and rage. It's a country of war that will never end. At the moment, they have declared a ceasefire, but that ceasefire will not last, because the Bantu who live there still feel downtrodden. They still feel oppressed by the Creoles. And therefore, it's going to be another bloodbath. Yes, yes. If you are Bantu, do not think about moving to Rwanda, because the peace is only temporary. They're gonna rip each other to pieces again, and this time the Creoles will be completely and totally annihilated. So, the Bantu. Nobody ever said we were peaceful. Nobody ever said we were not fighters or warriors. Nobody ever said we were afraid of spilling blood. However, our ancestors do not approve. Wherever blood is shed, there will be 100 years of suffering unless those people do rituals otherwise. Blood was shed in the Congo, they are suffering. Blood was shed in Zimbabwe, they are suffering. Blood was shed in Mozambique, they are suffering. Blood was shed in Namibia, they are suffering. Blood was shed in Angola, they are suffering. Because our ancestors are zero tolerance when it comes to violence. Blood is continually being shed in South Africa, and the suffering is compounding, scattering South Africa's babies to the ends of the earth, like it has done in all the countries I have mentioned. But ancestors of the Bantu. The religion of the Bantu is about pacifism. Pacifists. Do not shed blood, whether you are wrong or right. Do not shed blood. And so Rwanda will continue to spill blood. The first genocide, that genocide that we know about, is not the first genocide. It's genocide number 3 or 9. And that genocide will continue. So yeah. We have moments of peace, but mostly moments of war. Okay, so the border of the Bantu is now open. And really, you guys, it's beautiful that I started with Rwanda because I am reading Arnold Schwarzenegger. And people will say to me, why Arnold Schwarzenegger? Why? Why him? And I will tell you why Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have been feeling this Hitler-like president coming into power for years now, coming into power in the United States of America for years. It took a little while for the name Arnold Schwarzenegger to fall on my table, but when it did, it is refusing to go away. It is refusing to go away, so much so that I gotta tell you that I see the downfall of Diddy and Jay-Z and R. Kelly. I see that downfall and I put it at the feet of the Nazi-like leader who is running the United States and who is looking for money for his Nazi-like candidate to come into power. And all of a sudden, again, the name Arnold Schwarzenegger fell on our board. So, I'm always about full disclosure, right? I did my research on Arnold Schwarzenegger and I learned that his dad was a Nazi. Yeah, hardcore Nazi. His family was a Nazi. And somehow he cleaned that out for the public. And it looks like he stepped away from it all. But that is not the case. Okay, that's not the case, people. Hell to the motherfucking no. We forgot. So I am declaring Arnold Schwarzenegger a Nazi. And I gotta tell you, this is why I'm pro-Israel. Because I know that what happened before will happen again and again and again. What is interesting to me is as I was going through the P. Diddy thing, I came across some Jews, but it's not like they are the Nazi. There is definitely the component of the Nazi. Then there is definitely a Jewish clique that is helping black people, and it's a maze. It's a maze. It is a maze that is driving my metaphysical self crazy. So I'm starting from the first. I always say I follow a string to the end like this. Follow, and I am doing just that. This reading is more for me than it is for you. So if you are bored, I don't give twaddles. And I mean, I gotta follow what I gotta follow. So this is my hypothesis. Because we are scientists. Okay, this is my hypothesis. My hypothesis is the Hitler-like leader who is coming into power in the United States of America, okay, whose political career is going to start in 8 years, is Arnold Schwarzenegger's son. Okay, that's my hypothesis. His son. Okay, that boy that he had with the maid, with the housekeeper, that boy was created for a purpose. His bloodline of being indigenous, because Mexicans are indigenous to North America. They are the owners of this region. No matter that people want to call them illegal aliens, in the metaphysical, they own this land. This is their land. That bloodline was needed in order for the Nazis to solidify themselves in what is now the United States of America. The Nazis never died. The Nazis have just been waiting underground for their moment. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's son is that moment. Our hypothesis is that Arnold Schwarzenegger married Maria Shriver not because he fell in love, but on purpose. They were hoping that the Nazi-like leader would be a Kennedy. That was their first plan. Let this Nazi-like person be their first, be a Kennedy, because it's a much easier road straight to the presidential house than any other. However, Patrick Schwarzenegger and the Schwarzenegger children that they had with Maria showed that they didn't have it in them. They didn't have the strength. They didn't have the power. They didn't have the Nazi, or whatever their insignia is. Whatever their insignia is. They didn't have the Nazi. They did not have the Nazi. Okay, this is going to take a while, so bear with me. Science in progress. Science in progress. I am going back and forth because I'm sitting in my metaphysicality. And one day when I'm dead, long and gone, you shall all remember me, and you shall call me Nostradamus or whatever you call me, but you shall remember this. Remember this. I am making history. I am making history in front of you all. Remember this. So anyway, his kids, his Maria Shriver babies were not Nazi material. So they had to go back on the drawing board and they'd say, okay, now what? Now what do we do? And then they came up with the idea that he has got to have a baby with a señorita. Because, they own this land. He's got to have a child with a señorita. And guess what? Rich men, powerful men always go for the female that is directly in front of them, because they don't really meet good women. Often, as much as we like to think they do, they really don't. So he bent over the housekeeper, and the housekeeper had a baby boy. Okay. The introduction of Arnold's son to the world wasn't by chance. It wasn't by accident. Maria Shriver knew that baby existed from when the baby was born. What wife doesn't know that? From when the baby was born, she knew. But she had to walk away from this man when they decided to, make him public, make Joseph public, because Joseph has begun his ride to the most important house of the United States, the White House. He has already begun it, because people already know him and they know he exists. And now they tie him to daddy, the politician, daddy, the Republican politician. Joseph shall run as a Republican. Joseph shall win the White House as a Republican. And then Joseph, the Nazi, will rule the world. And Nazism, which never died but went underground, will be upon us again. There will be genocides, quietly done to get rid of the inferior races around the world. And those so-called inferior races are playing with themselves. The Africans are playing with themselves instead of getting there. Whatever, that's another story. But the fact is, Nazism is coming back. And this Nazism is at war because America is not stupid. They are at war with the other side. And this is why P. Diddy, Jay-Z, Beyonce, R. Kelly, and all those guys are going down because they were inadvertently serving Nazism. They were making money and are making money for Nazism. And the other side is not having it. The other side is trying to break the coming of this Nazi leader. I'm not going to call him Nazi like leader, Nazi leader. I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to say it because it is the swastika, people. I am seeing the swastika. Okay, so putting R. Kelly in prison, putting Diddy in prison, he's going to prison, putting Diddy in prison, going after Jay-Z and putting him in prison is the war against Nazism. It's the war against Nazism. Okay, so this, I'm doing it for me. Okay, more, and you are just watchers. You are just watching because I'm doing it for me. This is Nazism right here. Nazism. Nazism. In 8 years, the face of Nazism will be on our screens and we will be rejoicing and loving it. And once they get the White House, they are going to get every other single house in the world except China and Africa. Because one, they can't be bothered with Africa. Africans are people to be used and ruled and brutalized. They are the least important race. So they take their place in the dregs of society. China is just too powerful and just too strong, and they can't make inroads or headway into its system. So they will ignore it. But Japan is up for grabs. The Koreas are up for grabs. Every other country, or India is just like Africa to them. They are the wretched, the dregs of society who don't even have resources and who shall be used for their manpower. So the Indians are going to be the face of Nazism on the ground. They're going to get these little jobs and they're going to be so happy, so blissful. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm starting with Arnold. I feel like Arnold is not the top dog. Let me just say that. This is my goddamn conspiracy theory. I used to say I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but this is mine. I've been watching it formulate in my head as I'm walking into the metaphysical. Nazism is back. The Nazis have been waiting for their moment to step into the sun, and their moment to step into the sun is going to officially begin 8 years from now. 8 years, or even less, because we're not good with time. Okay? And the rights of minorities, except for Hispanics, shall be removed completely in what is the United States of America. Hispanics will become the majority, white people will become the minority, and black people will become the minority, and they will be stripped of their rights over a series of years. At once, Nazism knows that white people are the enemy. And this is why they have elevated the Hispanics. And of course, it works spiritually because this is their land. So very, very slowly, without people even realizing, it's like the handmaid's tale. Okay? Very, very slowly, your rights will be curtailed. You will be very, very slowly, over a period of years, you will be relegated to the lower classes. And then they will turn on the very Hispanics themselves. They will exterminate them. the same way they did the Jews after they have used them to hold on to power. Being an Aryan pure is going to be a very big deal. Very, very big deal in the future that they want to create for us. And they will succeed to a point or all the way, depending on the opposition that is grabbing its little money henchmen off the streets. And I can guarantee it. What I am saying is common knowledge to the authorities of these United States. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee it. Because I'm just picking up on the energies of the world. Somebody in the higher echelons of the United States has already started working on this and has been working on it for a very, very long time. So P. Diddy has to go down because they are trying to make an inroad to the guy, to the henchman, the big dude himself. But the big dude himself is well protected. However, I really believe, and so do my ancestors, that Arnold Schwarzenegger is sitting on the board. He's at the table, eating the same food as the big guy. Because he is the one with the son they have anointed to do this. And he was anointed before he was even born. If he kicks the bucket, they've got someone else. And someone else. And someone else. They even have a girl. There's even a girl. She's about 7. They even have a daughter, a girl. So there you go. They are not even thinking about sexes like he has to have a penis. They're not worried about that. They just want to get out of the dark and into the sun. And Argentina, I keep hearing Argentina. Yeah, Argentina. What you been up to? Okay, so we're reading Arnold Schwarzenegger. And let me look for his picture because I like to see what I am getting. And this reading is for Arnold Schwarzenegger to prove me wrong. Okay? It's not for him to prove me right. Oh, and there he is. And there it is, the swastika. It's literally on his forehead. And I never noticed it before. This is so freaking crazy. Guys, this is crazy. This is so crazy. I want to thank the other side for taking P. Diddy down because this all came via the P. Diddy takedown. But I'm not reading P. Diddy here. I'm reading P. Diddy for a charitable cause elsewhere. I'm reading Arnold. Okay? If you fight my charitable cause, enjoy. But I am reading Arnold. Okay? I'm reading Arnold. Okay? We are going to follow this story via Arnold Schwarzenegger. Whatever. Arnold. 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 Arnold was his Nazism was forged by fire, by blood, by that's what he just said. I'm just saying. It was forged by fire, by blood. It is his blood. It is his inheritance. It is his inheritance. He inherited it way back when, before Adolf Hitler. Wow. Before Adolf Hitler, Adolf Hitler came from the organization in which Arnold's great grandfather belonged. His great grandfather belonged to that organization, an organization of radical Austrians who had a dream, who woke up one day, looked at the filth of their lives. They were working in coal mines. They were coughing out blood and coughing out blood and dying. They were living in the African like shanty towns, like illegal settlements, and they were just, this is what he's saying, they were just fucking and having babies, and the babies were writhing in dirt and filth. And then they discovered while they were sitting and they were hunched over because they were cold and shaking, the coughing. They were constantly coughing from being in the coal mines in the cold of Austria. So there were a bunch of men hunched over a fire, a very small fire, and they were talking because they just discovered something. Black people. They discovered them through slavery. And then one of them said, why are we doing this nasty work? Why are we working like this when there are black people who are obviously created to be in the coal mines and to be coughing and to be dying? These were a delusional people. Oh my God, they remind me of my own Africans right now. They were delusional. They really truly believed they were rich and they were powerful, and this was their lot in life. They were used to their poverty. They were used to their dying, their suffering, their grief. They were used to it, and they saw themselves as lucky. And they would say, we are better off than those Germans. We are better off than the Dutch. We are better off. But one of them, seeing a picture of slaves, black slaves, who had them sitting by a fire hunched over, and suddenly the delusion, the lies that they had good lives, that, oh, I wish this could happen to Africans. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, it's the scales fell off their eyes and they looked at themselves without pity, and they said, we are wretched creatures. Why are we wretched? Why are we wretched when there are even more wretched people? They should be doing this work, not us. And so began the secret organization of 9 Austrian men sitting by a fire in the cold of Austria after they had done their shifts at the coal mine. And then they would go home, he keeps saying it, and then they would rat, R-U-T, rat, like the animals that they were. But that day, that night, they said, we are not animals. We are masters of the earth, and we should not live like this. Therefore, we are not going to live like this. Basically, the Hispanics are being set up for slaughter. Okay, that's what I just got. Anyway, here's the thing. After that, they began to talk, have numerous meetings, change their world view, and they were highly unpopular, highly undesired, and they even fought with the Austrian authorities, or the Austrian royal guards, or something to do with Austrian royalty. Some of them were imprisoned, 3 were executed, but the root had been planted. And the only way it could go was in the direction of growth. Damn. Nazi was just new. It came with the energy of Adolf Hitler. He was creative. He mesmerized his people. And he also fundamentally believed in the greatness of his people, the Austrians. He didn't exactly come from the same thingy, but he was, you know how you are a target audience of a people. Maybe I'm doing that because of communications school, right? You know, everything has its target audience. Adolf Hitler was the target. Adolf was the target. And so he came, he was very much an orator. He wasn't the engineer of Nazism. He was the face of it. Just as the American president will be the face of it, but he very much is only an orator. You know, he's mesmerizing. He knows how to pull people in. He knows how to get people's love. That was Adolf Hitler. And these men had finally found their career, and this is exactly what they are doing right now. Only they are birthing their own careers. In that time, there were a lot of Adolf Hitlers who thought like that. He says, this man, he's old. It's like, I'm sorry, but Adolf Hitler is not. See what I'm saying? Arnold Schwarzenegger is old, right? Not old as in 76. This is an old energy. It's old energy, very, very old. And he came from a ruling class, a family that was members of the ruling class. Then they lost some of their money. It fell down some, but not all the way, if that makes sense. Not all the way. So the great grandfather, who was the coal miner, when I say great grandfather, I'm talking an ancestor down, down, down. You know what I'm saying? I can't say great. He was a coal miner who made good. And then he became that guy because, hey, he did have enlightenment. He did have enlightenment. That is a dog eat dog world and all that jazz. Anyway, he says, obviously we were Nazi. I know, dude. It's on your forehead. He says, obviously we were Nazi. Obviously. And we expected to rule the world. Had you been born after, you would not have existed or have been a slave. I mean, after the Nazi won the war. I believe it. He says he wasn't really a true believer of the ideology. He was raised, spoon-fed it, but he didn't really believe it. He didn't really believe it. So what made you believe it? He says, believe it or not, having my son Joseph, it's brought to my attention that the world is not equal and will never be equal. Therefore, because my son he calls it Elena. I don't know what her name is, but he calls it Elena. My son with Elena is 10 times the man that my son Patrick is. Right? Yet the world chooses to treat Patrick as the master and my son as the slave. Elena is 10 times the woman that Maria is. Yet she is treated like garbage, and Maria, who is garbage, is treated like a queen by the world. When I realized that my family was always right. It's not about race. It's not about who is the best. It's about who has the power. The one with the power, their skin becomes the one in charge. Therefore, I stopped thinking that the world was fair and equal, and I began to look at it as it is. It's a war. So I came into this late in life. I was 61 when I was offered a seat at the table, and I accepted it because now I accept that this is what the world is, was, and always will be. At first, they wanted me to be president, but of course, that was not possible. One, my heart wasn't in it. I'm a very ill man. I abused my body, and my body has broken down. All I have left now is my mind. I just have my mind, and I want to retain my mind. I want to see my son to his glory because I love him dearly. Why do you love this particular son more than all the others? Because he's strong. He doesn't whine or whimper. He doesn't lean on me. He is his own man. And I admire that because I was my own man. He doesn't rely on my name. He doesn't rely on anything I can give him. I do give him. And when I die, he shall have more. I do give him $50 million worth of giving that he doesn't know about yet. He will only know about it when I am gone. But my son, with everything that I have put him through, he still genuinely loves me. And he's not a very loving boy. He doesn't love a lot of people. It's not easy for his energy to attach itself, but he loves me because he forgives me every time. He deserves to be at the top. And I want to be alive to make sure that he is. So I did not go further. Even if I wanted to challenge and fight to be president, I did not go further. I did not, because I want my mind to be sharp. The more you use your mind, the more it ages. Wow. So Arnold is looking tired and he is looking old in this here plate, people. He is looking tired and he is looking old, and I gotta go and pee. And so I will start shaking these shells when I come back. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I hope you stay with me as we go along. Like I said, I am going to do readings on P. Diddy as we get there, right? But this is the beginning of a journey that I have to unravel. This is the culmination of my career. This is what you're going to remember me for when I'm long gone. So, hey, be good to yourselves. No, seriously. Be kind to yourselves. See, I didn't put on makeup today because I just didn't want to, even though my ancestors insist that I must. It's like putting on the white, the white paint for protection. Makeup is that way for them. Protect yourself by. So be kind to yourself. Don't go against yourself all the time. Sometimes just do what feels right to your spirit. It helps nurture it, helps it grow. Besides, you're very important. You really, really, really are. Your arrival into this world was not an accident. It was not an accident. It had a purpose. And you are here for your purpose. For any readings that you would like on your personal life, description box. Join me on Patreon, description box, and have a good week.